We are continuing our Meet the Candidates interviews, and today we have Kyle Stone in studio with us. And of course, Kyle is the incumbent Stark County prosecutor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Pam. How are you?
Doing fine, doing
Good.
fine. Glad to have you with us today. So, talk to us about your past 4 years as a Stark County prosecutor. What's it been like?
It's been wonderful. We have an excellent team of committed prosecutors, assistants, support staff, and without them, we couldn't do the work. Without them, wouldn't be able to look back over the past 4 years and say we've successfully done and successfully served the people of Stark County. And so I'm very, very grateful. I enjoy the work because it's about making a difference in our community, being able to um, influence the criminal justice system in a positive way. We can be tough on crime, but still focus on prevention at the same time. You can do both at the same time. And so I'm excited about what we've been able to accomplish, um, the partnerships, the collaboration that we've experienced thus far. And I'm just looking forward to 4 more years serving Stark County.
And so, in those 4 more years, if you are fortunate to get that, what would you like to change? Some things, anything that you would want to do differently or add?
So it's just the continuing the work of what we've already started. For example, one of the big things that's just happened is we were awarded a $500,000 grant for a family justice center here in Stark County. And the Family Justice Center is designed to provide support for individuals who are survivors of domestic violence. And as prosecutors, it's important for us to be able to adapt with what the trends are, the things that's happening within your community. When I first got into office, violent crime, gang violence was more prevalent than other crimes, and since then we have been able to be strict on it, zero tolerance on gun violence. If an individual uses a gun in an act of violence, they have what they call gun specifications. I instructed my assistants. We are not negotiating on gun specifications. Now that's a case by case. Some situations call for it, but for the overarching goal is we're not negotiating when it comes to those cases. So we saw a shift in that major violent crime, and all the statistics show that there's been a decline in those areas. And I believe part of that is good police work, excellent police work, but also us sending out a message that you're not going to do that here in Stark County. And so since then, we've seen the uptick in domestic violence. And so what do we have to do? We have to be mindful of what's affecting our community. And so in response to that uptick, we've added another day of grand jury. We've added another domestic violence prosecutor, another domestic violence advocate, and then this grant in our desire for a family justice center will allow us to help provide services under one roof with all our agency partners. All of the agencies that serve survivors will be able to be under one roof to provide those services. One of the model that we are emulating is that of San Diego County is the one safe place in San Diego County, and it's DA ran, DA led, and ours will be also a DA, aka prosecutor led. And so we're excited for it because the opportunity to serve our community and the data has shown for over 20 years, family justice centers have been popping up around the country. The data has shown that when there's a family justice center in a community, homicide rates decrease and violence as a whole decreases. Why? Because you're giving services to help a survivor escape and to move on. But you're also allowing the children in those homes to be able to see something different than domestic violence.
Now, you recently went to Canton City Council
Mhm.
on the request of Councilwoman Chris Smith.
Mhm.
Um, Tell us a little bit about what you talked about.
So it's just the process of grand jury. One of the things that is very, very important for our community to understand. When I first got into office, we implemented, every year I've done about 3 or 4 town hall meetings throughout Stark County. We've been all over, and it's just giving people the opportunity to hear and get insight on how our office works, from our civil division and how much work we do. When I got in the office, Jerry Yost is one of my assistants in our civil division, told me a quote from the late Bob Horowitz. He said, the criminal gets you the headline, but it's the civil that gets you reelected. And so just understanding, allowing people to know how intricate the prosecutor's office is in the everyday workings of our county, whether it's the treasurer's office, the auditor's office, the commissioners, all of those, the board of elections, all of those different departments we serve. And so we gave people the opportunity to understand that process. And the grand jury process was one of the areas. And so it was important because the community it's a lot of anxiety about some officer involved deaths that have occurred over the course of time since I've been in office. And so it's just explaining to people my desire to always do everything right, to make sure that there's no inferences of improper action, or just making sure people can trust the process, trust that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, exactly how we're supposed to be doing it. And so I went there to explain the process. I made it very clear that I wasn't given a timeline, I wasn't given details, but I was just going to explain the process, how a case in that situation, how the report after the investigation from BCI is completed, then it comes to us. I review every single officer involved incident. I review it for my own personal knowledge and my own personal awareness as the elected prosecutor. And so I review it, and then we have to make sure that we have time, because we have to generally sometimes use a little bit more time than usual on certain cases. And so we just got to make sure that we balance. And generally, it's myself and our chief prosecutor, criminal prosecutor, that usually is presenting it. And so we just got to make sure the schedules align, different things like that. And so I presented that there. And because I didn't want for anyone to say, well, this result came because he sat there for 2 hours listening to, I immediately left, because I was just there to share that. And then I left. And so
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, and then the process of a grand jury and even of the court system is something that most people don't realize how it
Correct.
works.
Yes.
Many times people are surprised that somebody pleads not guilty in their arraignment. And I always say, well, they normally don't plead guilty in an arraignment,
Exactly.
but that's just part of the thing that
Right.
people don't really know. You brought up Bob Horowitz, and he was the prosecuting attorney when I came to town back in 1989. And that reminds me of the interview that I did yesterday with your opponent, who has, brought up things like you not having experience and not, trying cases yourself. And I'm sure you've heard some of the things about why he's running.
Yeah.
Because he could be off at a beach in Bahamas somewhere.
Right.
How do you react to that?
Well, so the me trying that's inaccurate. It's far from it. I've taken on a case every year, some of which have not led to a trial. When the elderly gentleman was abused and beaten back in 2021, I prosecuted that case. An individual shooting that took place on 12th Street and Whipple in 2022, I prosecuted that case. In 2023, last year, Dennis Barr and I, we tried a murder case that we successfully completed. So I tried that case as well. This year, I haven't, because of the election, I haven't had the opportunity to sit down. However, I've just presented two cases, one a murder case to the grand jury and gotten an indictment, as well as a theft case from an individual with developmental disabilities. And so I'm working, and so it's contrary to the truth in regards to me trying cases and working. And one of the things that's also important is when I took office, I eliminated a position that had been in place for a while, which was the chief counsel position. And the chief counsel position historically was one that managed the office for the elected so that they could, do this and to do that, whatever they might want to do. I eliminated that position because as an individual who has experience in managing people and as an individual who understands how to work with people, I could manage the office. I have a master's in public administration, and I have more than enough years of experience in managing a team. So I said, I can manage my team. I don't have to have that layer in between. So not only have I taken on the management of the office, I also work as well. I also participate in the grand jury. I participate in the courtroom. I've done arraignments before, and showed up to support my team. And so those are the things that, because I don't boast, I don't do a whole lot of posting. Quite frankly, I don't like a whole lot of attention. I just want to do the work because the work is the priority. And the moment it no longer becomes about the work is the moment I should no longer be in the job. And so that's what the people of Stark County desire, is people who are willing to do the work. It's not just a small amount. I've tried more cases and participated in more cases in my short first term than my predecessor did in 17 years. So that's not accurate. And while I understand that he has uh, um, 50 years of courtroom experience, and that is wonderful. When I get to his age, I will hope that I would have be able to look back on my career and say that I have that experience. But at the age of 41, I can't compete with 50 years. But what I can say is I have the management experience, and I have the past 4 years of successes to back up why I should continue as the Stark County prosecutor.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.